celebrating 48 years on the air. Award-winning Farmweek is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, it's a Say Cheese kind of show. We make cheddar cheese at Mississippi State University. In Southern Gardening, Eddie's got the Midas touch with golden flowering perennials. In the markets, Zach goes deep, diving into this month's supply and demand report. And then you cheddar believe it, another cheese story, this one with an Amish connection. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Great to have you with us again here on Farm Week, brought to you by Mississippi State University Extension. Before we bring you this week's ag news, a quick update on what has again become a very active and dangerous wildfire out west in California. According to the National Interagency Fire Center, 77 large wildfires have burned more than 2.3 million acres across the nation. But California's largest fire, the Park Fire, burning in the northern part of the state, has been reawakened and grew by more than 20 square miles within 12 hours recently. That fire has already burned more than 600 square miles. Firefighters have been told in regular briefings to focus on safety and to be mindful of extreme fire behavior, including intense and rapidly moving flames.
In other news, there's a new way of doing business through the Farm Services Agency Farm Loan Program, and it increases flexibility and resilience for ag producers. We hear from that and more from FSA Administrator Zach Ducheneau.
What's unique about this particular aspect of our services is you don't need to have a natural disaster to trigger it. It's lower documentation. And when we do set that payment aside, instead of accruing interest at the already established rate, it's going to accrue interest at 1/8%. So we're really setting aside a payment, and it's not going to balloon on you in a way that jeopardizes your operation as you're coming to the end of that term. Our current percentage of security that we take is up to 150%. So with this rule, we're announcing that not more than 125% security will be taken in any loans that we make. In addition to that, we will offer the opportunity to have our security interest reduced to not more than 125% upon 3 years of payments as agreed on the existing notes.
Still on the subject of money, and to no one's surprise, it's costing farmers a lot more money just to be farmers. We spoke with Joseph Parsons, administrator of the USDA's National Ag Statistics Service, about how much more.
U.S. farms, and this excludes Alaska and Hawaii, spent almost $500 billion on expenses necessary to run their farms and ranches. Farm expenditures were $481.9 billion in 2023. That's up 6.5% from 2022. Average per farm expenditures in 2023 was $255,000, and that is up from 2022. Expenditures are higher for crop farms at nearly $300,000, $298,000 to be specific, than for livestock farms, which was $220,000. Livestock farms tend to include more smaller operations. The very largest farms are larger farms that go between $1 million and $5 million in farm value sales, have the largest category of farm production expenditures.
On the lighter side, say cheese. Later in the show, we'll have our main feature all about a specialty cheese operation known throughout the world. But did you know that cheese is also made right here at Mississippi State? And it's known all across the country and even beyond. I took a little tour not long ago, and what I saw was amazing. This is the Maphis Sales Store at Mississippi State. Maphis for Mississippi Agricultural and Forestry Experiment Station. In this store, they sell just about everything, including ice cream, about 25,000 gallons a year. Cheddar cheese, 50,000 20-pound blocks sold a year. And Edam cheese, about 50,000 3-pound balls of it sold a year. People come from all over to buy it, and they call from all over to have it shipped to them. The man behind the operation is T.J. Evans, the dairy plant manager. The plant's been in operation since 1938, but TJ's been the boss for 26 years. And when it comes to making cheese, nobody knows the process better than him. Here's a quick thumbnail on how cheddar gets made.
Normally we have one guy that comes in, usually around 4 o'clock in the morning. He will start up the milk room. He will sanitize everything, get everything ready. He will run a vat of cheese. We normally run 2 vats of cheese a day. He will run 6,700 pounds of milk into that cheese vat. The rest of our employees come in at 6 o'clock. We will start that vat of cheese at 6 with a starter culture. 1 hour later, we add color, which gives the cheese this yellow shade. 30 minutes after that, we will cut the curd and we will start cooking it. During all this time, your milk is 90 degrees. Once we start cooking it, we will raise the temperature 2 degrees every 5 minutes till it reaches 102 degrees. And we will cook it from anywhere from an hour and 15 to an hour and a half. We will cook the curd. After that, we will drain the whey off. You will be left with the curd. We divide it out on each side of the vat. Once we get it piled and divided out, we start checking an acid on the whey. And we will turn it 8 times. So once the whey gets to where we want it, we will mill it back down, salt it, pile it up, scoop it up in a bucket, and weigh it out, and then put it in a hoop. A big metal hoop, like a 20-pound block. After that, it goes in a press, sits in a press overnight. The next day, we will package it, and then it goes into a cooler for storage and aging. Sounds like a lot, but it doesn't take long.
Sounds like a complicated process, but it runs like clockwork every single day. And when it's all said and done, there's a mountain of tasty cheese just waiting to be sold and enjoyed locally and across the country. It goes fast. Even the dairy plant student workers are surprised just how fast the Edam cheese disappears.
Whenever we get a new crew of students, I will walk them in this cooler and walk them back here when this cooler's full, and I will tell them, I'll ask them, you see all this cheese? It took us a year to make this. By the middle of December, it's going to be gone. They're like, no. I'm like, yeah. Come middle of December, cheese is gone.
You might be interested to know that all of the milk from which all that cheddar and Edam and jalapeno cheese is made comes from cows right here at Mississippi State University. None of the milk comes from outside the campus.
You've heard that old saying about going for the gold, right? Well, Eddie Smith certainly has a Midas touch of his very own in today's Southern Gardening segment about yellow flowering perennials. Here's Eddie from down south with that little gold rush.
Today I'm back in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, admiring a couple of yellow flowering perennials that shine bright like the sun in the landscape. Let's look at these beauties. Gaillardia, also known as blanket flower, is a vibrant and hardy perennial celebrated for its daisy-like flowers that often display a striking mix of red, orange, and yellow hues. Yellow-colored Gaillardia in particular stands out with its bright, cheerful yellow petals that adds a burst of color to the landscape. This plant is known for its mounding habit, typically reaching 12 to 18 inches in height and width. It thrives in full sun, requiring at least 6 hours of direct sunlight daily. Well-draining soil is crucial, as the plant does not tolerate soggy conditions. One of my favorites, orange peel cestrum, is an evergreen shrub cold hardy to USDA Zone 7 and known for its vibrant yellow-orange flowers and pleasant fragrance. Clusters of bright yellow-orange tubular blossoms adorn the ends of the branches, creating a striking contrast against the glossy dark green foliage. Each flower, measuring about 1 to 2 inches in length, exudes a sweet, enchanting fragrance that becomes particularly potent in the evening and at night, inviting pollinators. These radiant flowers not only enhance the visual appeal of any landscape, but also contribute to a sensory garden experience, captivating both sight and smell with their delightful presence. I'm sure you will agree, yellow flowering perennial plants brighten up any landscape. I'm Eddie Smith, and I will see you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a break right here, but don't go away. Coming up in our Farm Week feature, Say Cheese Again. No one's about to take your picture. We head to Iowa for a dairy success story all about the art of making cheese. They used to be in the milk business. Now they're known worldwide for their specialty cheese, which they make from Amish and Mennonite milk just down the road. An old world partnership, the cheesiest story you can imagine. You cheddar believe it. That's coming up on Farm Week. Don't go away.
Here's this week's Farm Week calendar. Just one item this week, the EPA has mandated new training requirements for private pesticide applicators. The requirements, for those who handle restricted use pesticides on farmland and need to renew or obtain certification, began July 1st. The training is on video, covering many new procedures. At the end, there's a 55-question exam, and you must score at least 70%. Cost of the training is $60 per person, with 2 ways to take the test, online or in person at a local extension office. For computer questions about the training and exam, call the Center for Technology Outreach at 662-325-3226. Or for questions more related to who's qualified, who needs to take the training, call 662-325-5829. Remember, the new private pesticide applicator training requirements began July 1st. And that's this week's Farm Week calendar.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith. I believe in my own work and in the opportunity I have to make my life useful to humanity. I believe that education is a lifelong process, and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families that I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
Time for the market report, the latest WASI Hour Focus.
Yes, it is, and had a lot to say, especially for row crops. We'll get into that in just a bit, but first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then, our in-depth look at this month's WASI Report. What were the details, the biggest takeaways, and the market's reaction? So, markets closed the week fairly split and looking slightly up, except for livestock. All down while row crops split. Let's take a look. Last week's biggest gain, lumber up $20.50, an over a 4% increase. The week's biggest loss, lean hogs, down over 2.5 cents, a near 3.5% decrease. This month's WASI report recently dropped, a monthly domestic and global supply and production report released by the USDA. This particular WASI had a good bit to say, especially in row crops. Looks like ample grain supplies both in the U.S. and abroad, while livestock on the recovery, at least in cattle. Here's Bella Bingham with the details.
U.S. wheat supplies down due to less production and harvested area, offset by slightly higher yield. Projected ending stocks also down as a result. Season average farm price unchanged from last month at $5.70 per bushel. Global wheat supplies projected upward due to higher production in Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and Australia. EU production resided due to high rainfall in France. Consumption and trade increased and ending stocks lowered. U.S. corn production up despite slightly less harvested area, bulked up by increased yields. Stocks down slightly as well, while exports up, especially for glucose, dextrose, and starch. Season average farm price $4.20 per bushel. Global corn production down due to cuts in the EU, Russia, Serbia, Ukraine, and Moldova, mostly due to dry weather. Imports lowered for Iran, Chile, Egypt, Nepal, and Vietnam, and raised for India and Zimbabwe. U.S. rice supplies lowered due to less stocks and production. Yield also down. Despite that, stocks are still higher than last year. Season average farm price unchanged at $15.60 per hundredweight. Global rice supplies also down due to less beginning stocks for Vietnam and the Philippines. World consumption and trade lower as well. Ending stocks down as a result. U.S. soybean production increased on higher harvested area and yields. The first survey-based soybean yield forecast showed yields up over 1 bushel per acre. Supplies also up as well. As a result, season average farm price lowered to $10.80 per bushel. Global soybean production raised due to U.S. increases along with Ukraine, Russia, India, and Benin. Exports also up. Ending stocks increased mostly on higher stocks in China, the U.S., and Argentina. U.S. beef production up on higher slaughter. Pork production down due to less slaughter and dressed weights. Broiler production up on recent hatchery data. Turkey production lower while egg production raised. Cattle price forecast raised due to demand. U.S. milk production lowered from last month due to less cow inventories. Price forecasts for cheese, non-fat dry milk, and whey are raised while butter price is lowered. The all-milk price forecast for 2024 raised to $22.30 per hundredweight. U.S. cotton domestic use unchanged and beginning stocks raised slightly. Production down along with planted area. Ending stocks down as a result. Season average farm price 66 cents per pound. Global cotton production down mostly due to less area in production in the U.S. and India. Consumption also reduced along with ending stocks.
Now that you have the context, what's the market reaction to the report and what did it really tell us? Extension row crop economist Will Maples characterized it as bearish, especially for soybeans and corn, not too far behind.
So one of the biggest takeaways was soybean prices have been on the slide all summer, and unfortunately this report was just another piece of big bearish news on the market. So first, this report, WASI this month, is the first one they incorporated in Farm Service Agency acreage data. So we expected to see acres on these planted acres numbers change for some of the crops. But for soybeans, unfortunately, we saw them add 1 million acres to their planted acres number. And then they also adjusted up soybean yields higher. So with this, that increased production, we're looking at a pretty large soybean crop coming on this year. So with that also, more supplies. We saw the ending stocks number come up to 570 million bushels. This is the highest level of stocks we've had on soybeans since 2019. So kind of coming out of those trade war years, we're kind of getting back towards those levels of stocks, unfortunately, in the soybean market.
Well, how do things look on the corn side then?
So corn, we expected it to be a bearish report. The market came in expecting it. We expected yield to go up because it's been a pretty good year so far with the weather. They did adjust corn yields up higher, record levels of corn yield coming into this year. They did adjust acres a little bit, but overall ending stocks did come down a little bit. They cut harvested acres. We expected some harvested acres to come down. They did do that. So it was still we're still at a very bearish ending stocks number, production number on corn, but we did see a little bit of relief on that ending stocks number.
Well, how are things looking on cotton based on what the WASI told us?
So we did see cotton production come down. We expected this. West Texas had some dry, hot weather, so abandonment out there in that region was shown in this report. They adjusted down the harvested acres. We did see 700,000 bales of cotton come off the ending stocks number, but kind of one takeaway those, they did cut 1 million bales out of export. But the positive was stocks are down a little bit, did provide some price support to the market.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets. A single focus this time, but it was the biggest mover. Seems corn and soy growers are likely to see another bearish year while cattle producers continue a small period of bullish markets. Mike?
Thanks, Zach. Now for that tie-in to our story about MSU cheese making early in the show. While the dairy industry navigates bird flu, it's also trying to compensate for falling milk sales. Specialty cheese is one way of doing that. After all, cheese in all its forms has been around forever. And for some, what's old is new again.
It's really neat how you just take a simple vat full of milk and 6 hours later you got 900,000 pounds of cheese. There's a lot involved in cheese making. There's art, there's science, there's passion involved.
Rufus Mustard IV, or Junior as he's known in the rolling hills of southern Iowa's Van Buren County, is an integral part of a family operation helping to boost the local economy.
You got all your different products here: prairie breeze, garden vegetable, cheddar, tomato, garlic, black pepper, caramelized onion, 4-alarm, old style cheddar. We're in all 50 states.
Satisfying demand for the award-winning globe-trotting cheddar cheese varieties crafted by Milton Creamery creates jobs and allows for profit sharing with fellow Mennonite and Amish source dairies.
Cheese gets made in the other building, comes out here for aging. So what aging does It allows the flavors to develop. This particular cheese has been here a little over a year.
It took a little time for Milton Creamery's gastronomic accomplishments to ripen as well. Junior's parents relocated their Mennonite family from Pennsylvania to Iowa in the early 1990s, away from selling homegrown produce and into dairy farming, which brought its own challenges.
We don't have a lot of population, so to get much milk out there, gonna have to do a lot of driving, a lot of delivery time. Dad kept looking at the price of milk in the store and the prices that he was getting on the farm, and he said, somewhere somebody is making money in between here.
The eureka moment came around 2000 when the elder Mussers attended a value-added dairy conference in Wisconsin and came away convinced that specialty cheese making, not milking cows, was their best path forward.
That's straight off the farm right there.
Dad said, here's our niche. This is where we need to be. You bring milk in, because milk is 87% water, you take the water off, you condense it to cheese, now we can afford to ship it across the country.
After breaking in and lighting up farmers markets for several years with their celebrated cheese curds, Milton Creamery unveiled Prairie Breeze to much acclaim.
The American Cheese Society would describe it as a sweeter cheddar or a new age cheddar. We decided that's going to be the Cadillac, that's going to be what's going to drive the business forward, and it truly has.
Their success allowed for expansion, which helps ensure a steady stream of customers with discerning tastes. Just this summer, Milton Creamery's old-style cheddar won gold at the International Cheese and Dairy Awards in the United Kingdom.
Well known in Van Buren County and around the world.
County tourism officials celebrate the Mussers and a rising tide of similar endeavors, which help bring things like tax relief and school funding to local communities.
I mean, we're very fortunate we do have the Amish and the Mennonite and how they do work with us too. They know that they have wealth coming in, but they also want to share it. They support economic development. We have bakeries, wood carving, cabinet making. It offers unique tourism for people who want to experience their life or just buy that unique craft or food that they make.
The Amish reputation for exceptional craftsmanship and work ethic is well known. Though larger groups are found mostly east of Iowa, the Hawkeye State's Amish population ranked 9th in the U.S. in 2023 at just under 10,000, according to statistics compiled by Pennsylvania's Elizabethtown College.
Iowa actually has quite a large Amish Mennonite population, a plain population, and they're actually quite a big contributor to our agricultural sectors. In dairy in particular, Amish milk makes about 25% of the milk that's produced here in Iowa, so they're definitely big players.
Iowa State University assistant professor and dairy extension specialist Dr. Gail Carpenter says larger mainstream dairy producers, consolidated mainly into northern pockets of the state, harness various technologies to maintain high animal welfare standards and milking efficiency for their huge herds. She says while the Amish shun such advancements, Mennonite beliefs are less strict in practical application, though they adhere to stringent quality standards. Complementary partnerships have emerged, like Milton Creamery and the 5 dairy farms they buy from within 25 miles of their plant, the largest herd being 80 head. Together, they leverage value-added niche opportunities inside a smaller footprint.
They share a lot of the same values that their producers would, so I think that creates a lot of trust there. It's also a very competitive market trying to look for places to sell milk. It can be hard for small producers to find a co-op that wants to buy their milk from them because they just don't have the same volume as a farm that milks a lot more cows would have. So having that stability and that surety and that lack of risk with selling to Milton Creamery fits in with their culture and their values as well.
Carpenter adds each dairy cow in Iowa contributes roughly $24,000 to their local economies. And in a world of fewer producers, frayed connections between customers and food sources, a spirit of nostalgia has emerged, driving demand for products like specialty cheese. The Musser family's vision has led to benefits for their business and the region. For creamery workers, hard work also pays off, in more ways than one.
Forking the cheese curds, stirring the salt in, very intense. Also, when you put the 40-pound blocks into the hoops to put in the presses, between the weight of the hoops plus the cheese in it, you're looking at lifting 60, 65 pounds. I like to tell new employees when they start here in the production facility, you can cancel your gym membership.
No question, cheesemakers are making their money the old-fashioned way, if you know what I mean. Well, next week, another trip back in time before the turn of the millennium.
25 years ago, this story ran on the show all about the Flywheelers, folks who collected and restored antique farm gear.
We'll visit one of their festivals where they gather to let future generations know what the good old days were really like.
Ever wonder what an old John Deere tractor looked like? Wonder no more. The Flywheelers, next time on Farm Week.
Before we go, a quick look at the DAFM Summer Summit a few days ago at Mississippi State.
DAFM is the Division of Agriculture, Forestry, and Veterinary Medicine. It's one of 5 divisions at MSU and includes MSU Extension. It's central to the university's land-grant mission of teaching, research, and service.
And as you can tell, DAFM personnel love to have their fun. This year's theme was agriculture. You'll be hearing a lot more about DAFM going forward.
Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching.